Good morning, and thank you very much, Alan, for your introduction and for explaining the outlines of the program. I would like to make a number of comments on the program, but representing the EU here, I will say a few. I will start with protocol, which means that I will first say Kuben, acting head of the National Planning Commission Secretariat, Mr. Kuben Naidu, Deputy Director General of the Department of Performance and Monitoring Evaluation, Mr. Alan Hirsch, ladies and gentlemen, fellow diplomats, a very good morning, and I'm very pleased to be here. And as Alan has already explained, this program is a program in which the South African government and the European Union have really worked together, not sitting on conference tables opposed to each other, but we work together to conceptualize this and to work this out. And when I say we, then I really do not mean myself, because this has been worked out over a number of years. But I'm appearing at the right moment on the scene to open the thing and claim all the work that my predecessors have done. Reducing poverty, creating jobs, reducing the enormous gap between rich and poor in this country. I'm now living myself in Waterkloof. I worked all my life in Africa, in Lesotho, but in many other countries. And where do I end up? In Waterkloof, in Pretoria. Reducing poverty, I feel the need for that daily. And also making South Africa ready in a robust way for the 21st century, where the world will change. We see this very strongly from Europe. I'm representing here 27 European countries, which, let's say, 30, 40, 50 years ago were still in many ways the center of many things that happened in the world. And now we are one of the many centers. The world has become, as you know, very multinodal, and South Africa is becoming more and more an important node in that international world, and by far the most important African node. And these are the challenges, some of the main challenges, I should say, that the South African government is facing today. Facing these challenges, of course, is in the first place a South African effort, a South African challenge, if you like. But in today's world, we are very closely working together. We are working together internationally, and the EU is very committed to work with South Africa as a partner. We're working with South Africa as a partner, of course, in the first place to address the internal challenges, but also in the second place, but very close to this first place, to address together with South Africa the challenges on the continent. Alan just mentioned that my past 4 years were as a special envoy of the European Union in the Great Lakes region, working with Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda. South Africa is playing there a very important stabilizing role, and we seek South Africa's partnership there as well. And then in the third place, we see South Africa as a strategic partner working on global issues. And I think the best example is that we are preparing ourselves now for COP17 in this country, and also there the European Union works very closely with South Africa. And it is against this background that next month we will have in this country an unprecedented, if I may say that, European delegation. President Van Rompuy, who is the European president, very few people know him. Everybody knows Obama, but nobody knows the European president, because we are still struggling. President Barroso, Foreign Minister Ashton, the Development Minister Peebles, and the Trade Minister, we call them Commissioners de Gucht. 5 European toppers, if you like, will visit at the same time South Africa, and I think that is a very clear expression of our commitment to work with South Africa. Now, against this wider background of working together, let us go back to this program, Being Poor Matters. As Alan already said, the EU approved support for this program already in 2006 on the basis of a real cooperation between the EU and South Africa. It was not just a proposal that came and it was approved in a bureaucratic way, it was a real exchange. And this program was very much inspired by the fact that although South Africa is having this middle income status, it faces these challenges, and while between 1993-1994 and 2008 poverty has declined tremendously, this has of course to a large extent happened because of social grants to the bottom decile of the population. So we continue to face very unique and complex challenges in this country, including the need to explain and understand why the gap between policies that are often considered really state of the art, also internationally, and program implementation remains so wide. The implementation gap, the poverty gap, but at the same time also our insufficient capacity in this country to deliver on the basis of very good policies. And of course also the question, are we really capturing in our models of thinking all the elements of poverty, of household dynamics, and do we have the right, explanatory framework? Now, to focus on these issues and to stimulate further research and debate, the EU has committed, this is always what we do, we commit money and we say how much it is, and are always great amounts of money, which do not necessarily make the difference, but we have committed 50 million rand over the period 2006-2012 in this initiative, notably to create capacity in researchers and in policymakers, and to enable them to have a deeper understanding of poverty and to enable more informed, evidence-based policy making interventions. And I think that is in many ways the key of also our rationale internally to fund this, to have both at the research and at the implementation level an increased understanding of the dynamics of poverty in this country. So in essence, this program seeks to strengthen government departments, it seeks to strengthen also the neediest provinces, not only in policy making, because as I said, that is often state of the art, but certainly also in monitoring and in evaluation and in implementation. The program has been further improved in 2009, of course with the creation of two departments at the South African side, the National Planning Commission and the Department of Performance Monitoring and Evaluation, which we think is a crucial response by the government of South Africa to improve service delivery. Now, the program on which we are working together, South Africa and the European Union, seeks to create new knowledge and understanding of poverty and the household dynamics, of course. It also gears as intensifying dissemination and this capacity building and training component that I already spoke about. And the knowledge dissemination and linkage building are two of the vital elements in the program. We, in that framework, studies on social cohesion, migration, urbanization, and service deliveries are funded. Today's conference allows us, the South African government, but also the EU, because we want to continue to be involved not only with money but also with making inputs in this program, because it requires more than anything else commitment and sharing of research and thoughts. Today's conference gives us the opportunity to exchange views and thoughts on these various studies. We think that the timing of this conference is extremely important, not only for South Africa, but also for the European Union, because we do have a funding period 2007, 2013, 2014, and we are at the moment preparing a new 7-year cycle for South Africa. And given the fact that the middle income status of South Africa is increasingly a problem for many donors to defend continuation of development cooperation with South Africa, we will have to come with new arguments, with better arguments, saying, yes, it is middle income, but look at the specific challenges. In our case, the European Union, there are a number of countries which are in a similar position. India, Brazil. So there is more competition for aid funds at the moment. And this conference is therefore, in the first place, important for analyzing the poverty problem in South Africa, but it is also extremely important for us to prepare our future funding in this whole sector. And I am pleased that we can confirm at this stage a second phase that will allow the further scaling up of interventions and will continue, it will imply continued European involvement, but we want to look at a further future, and then more work needs to be done. Let me, approaching the end of my introduction, of course, once more commend the National Planning Commission for its diagnostic overview, which I think is an extremely courageous piece of work. If a government is prepared to present such an open and critical analysis of what is happening in a country, I think then a government shows that it has a certain self-confidence, that it is prepared to engage in open debate, and that it is also prepared to really tackle the issues. We are not living in an ideal world in South Africa. I'm not suggesting that for a moment, but I think the fact that the diagnostic overview has been presented in the way it was presented is a tremendous sign of commitment by the government, and also inspiration for the donor community, and I also would say hope for the fight against poverty in this country. I think it is a real, very robust and substantial piece of work. What we think is extremely important also in this context is the fact that so many government departments are increasingly involved, and that in the presidency we have the capacity to put all these initiatives together. I have said a few words about the EU policy, how we look at South Africa. I have focused on poverty. I have not mentioned figures, percentages, the gaps. You will do that later. But I have underlined the importance that the European Union attaches to addressing the situation within South Africa. We cannot make the difference. We cannot provide the sort of assistance that we do in other countries, Lesotho for instance, Mozambique, where we really are able to provide funds that are of direct importance for the government to run the country. Here our contribution is more modest, but it is more in innovative projects, in experiments, in policy development. And I think this program that we have here today is something that really makes us proud to be associated with and to work with the South African government, but also with so many committed researchers and research institutions in this country. And I can say on behalf of my team, which is there in the back, controlling strictly what I'm saying, that we will remain in very close touch with the institutions, with the government, to further accompany the development of this policy program over the years to come. Thank you very much, Kuben and Alan, for allowing also from the European Union to say how we look at this program. I wish you and all of you a very, very good conference, and I will, through my collaborators, and if I can come back myself, follow this conference in great detail. All the best, and thank you very much.